specially planned and designed for Chevrolet. Light up the fuse, here we go. It's National Chevy Show.
Fidel Castro, Face the Nation. In the early hours of yesterday morning, this was the scene in a studio of television station CMQ in Havana, Cuba. The revolution is over and the studio is jammed with newspaper photographers, armed guards, studio technicians, armed rebel fighters. From this studio in Havana, you are about to see Fidel Castro, leader of the successful rebel forces who overthrew the dictatorship of General Batista. And now, by television tape recording, you will see Fidel Castro face the nation. Now, here is the moderator of Face the Nation, CBS News correspondent Stuart Novins.
The revolution in Cuba has thrown out the Batista administration, and it has installed a provisional government. That was the first step. Now the revolution must consolidate itself. The government must be organized to cope with the many, many problems that now face this country. The man upon whose strength all this depends is Dr. Fidel Castro, who is here now to face the nation. Ray Mallon of Time magazine, Richard Bate of CBS News, William L. Ryan of the Associated Press, who will ask the first question. Mr. Ryan?
Dr. Castro, the recent events in Cuba have been full of hope for the Cuban people. But is this hopeful revolution now being threatened by some person or persons within the revolutionary organizations?
Our interpreter on this special edition is Mr. Jack Skelly, who has lived here in Cuba for 25 years, a former UP correspondent in Washington.
Well, I'm going to tell you. The government, the president of Cuba now is consolidated in the power and have the help of the biggest movement and of the public opinion.
The Dinah Shore Chevy Show with Dinah's guest, Dick Shawn. Red Norval. Sujata and Ahsoka. And special guest, Eve Arden. And here she is, Miss Dinah Shore.
Gonna take a sentimental journey, gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna take a sentimental journey to renew old memories. We said it before, we'll say it again, for it's even truer now than then. Chevrolet is the one that it proves the fun, the fun, the fun is in the going.
Come rain or shine or snowing, the fun is in the going, in the slim line, fresh and fine Chevy.
And the fun keeps growing as mile by mile. Your Chevy shows the fun is in the going.
Chevrolet is really swinging. In a Chevy you just can't help singing. Here's a car, there's zip and zinging. Oh, what fun for traveling in. And now, get this, the fun is in the knowing, the fun is in the going.
So why don't you get going?
Come on in and try a new Chevy, for it's such fun knowing the fun that's yours when Chevrolet's the way that you are going.
Hey, fellas, look.
When those wedding bells are ringing and your friends the rice are flinging, in your Chevy you'll be winging. Get away from everything in. It's the pick for picnicking and lots of room for all the stuff you're bringing in. Excellent for exploring in.
For more driving fun like this, visit your Chevrolet dealer. Go for a pleasure ride. When you do, you'll find out.
The fun, the fun,
The fun is in the knowing, the fun is in the going.
in the slim line, fresh and fine. Chevrolet.
Next week, the Dinah Shore Chevy Show will again star Dinah Shore with Dinah's guests Audrey Meadows, Eddie Bracken, and special guest Tony Martin. The Dinah Shore Chevy Show has been brought to you by Chevrolet on behalf of your local authorized Chevrolet dealer, who invites you to be his guest and pleasure test the all-new 1959 Chevrolet. Chevrolet also brings you the Pat Boone Chevy Showroom each week on another network.
You want thrills, you've got thrills. My arms, my lips are here to thrill you. It's at my fingertips to will you anything your heart desires.
Okay. You can have the deal any way you want it. Just don't try to keep me out of it.
Crime on a big, terrifying scale for a multi-million-dollar take.
What are you doing with Steve?
He and his wife are the only ones who know what we look like.
Jack, you're not gonna hurt them.
I'll take care of him. You get his wife. We're wasting time.
Right, no!
Evening shadows make me blue when each weary day is through.
In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million. In the years since, Alaska has yielded well over $1 billion in new wealth and moves steadily but slowly toward statehood. Now the President's signature makes it officially the 49th state. At the same time, Ike solves one problem created by the added state. He announces the new design of the flag. And across the country, manufacturers go into action, bringing the stars and stripes up to date. The problem of the 49th star has been solved by a field of 7 staggered rows of 7 stars each. And while it is not mandatory to replace 48-starred flags now in use, the manufacturers hopefully look towards a boom in business as America rushes to keep up with the new look of Old Glory.
Tonight, these 4 people need to compete for the prizes of a lifetime on The Price is Right, presented by Dove, the amazing new bath and beauty bar that creams your skin while you wash. And by Imperial. Imperial is unconditionally guaranteed to taste like the 70-cent spread, yet costs so much less. And now, your host on The Price is Right, Bill Cullen.
Watch our turntable. Here's our next item going up for bids on The Price is Right.
A complete home entertainment unit. Hi-Fi record player, radio combination 21-inch television set, and record storage cabinet. All 3 make up the exciting 1959 Motorola Declaration Group in cabinetry designed by Drexel. The high-fidelity stereophonic master control unit has a custom 4-speed automatic record changer, AM/FM tuner, 40-watt dual-channel amplifier, and 4 speakers. The matching Motorola TV set with 3 speakers completes the stereophonic sound system and is designed with a hand-wired chassis and separate bass and treble controls. The handsome record cabinet fashioned of genuine walnut completes the trio that will be yours if you make the best bid. Price Authority, Motorola Incorporated, Chicago, Illinois. Price is Right has been brought to you by Lever Brothers, makers of Blue Liquid Whisk, the liquid way you clean this wash, and by Dove, the amazing new bath and beauty bar that cleans your skin while you wash. Lever Brothers unconditionally guarantee satisfaction or your money back. Transportation for tonight's guest was arranged by American Airlines. American choice of experienced travelers everywhere and famous for the Mercury, luxury leader in the world of flights.
Alcoa presents a new and unusual kind of television program that takes you just beyond the world in which you live. Alcoa presents Aluminum, from the world's leading producer, Aluminum Company of America, who creates new and unusual uses of this wondrous metal for the world in which you do live. And now, John Newland takes you one step beyond.
Have you ever been certain your telephone would ring in the next 10 seconds? Or have you ever walked down a strange street and had the feeling that you knew what lay beyond the unturned corner? Yes? Then you've had a brief encounter with the world of the unknown. You are ready for the actual human experience that follows.
1958 and early 1959 was a period of great activity in the entire Air Force ballistic missile program, in research, in manufacturing, component testing, deployment, and the most visually impressive, flight testing. It was not a period of a few highlights, but rather of highlight succeeding highlight in an ever-increasing tempo. This brief film can deal with only a few of the vital tests which took place.
They asked me how I knew my true love was true. I have lost me said someday you'll find all who love are blind. Oh, when your heart's on fire, you must realize smoke gets in your eyes. So I chaff them and I gaily laughed to think they could doubt my love.
You've never seen anything like Walt Disney's newest motion picture, Sleeping Beauty. So big, so wonderful, that to enjoy it most, you must see it in the one theater in your area equipped to show it in Technorama 70 and in full stereophonic sound. Walt Disney's wonderful new motion picture, Sleeping Beauty. It's worth going miles to see.
This is Chet Huntley's second and last night off. I'm David Brinkley, NBC News, Washington.
And this is NBC News, the Huntley-Brinkley Report, assembled for television every weekday night by the world's largest and most comprehensive broadcast news organization, the News Department of the National Broadcasting Company.
There was a small revolution in the House of Representatives today. The Republicans voted Joe Martin of Massachusetts out of office as House Leader, a job he has held for 20 years. They replaced him with Representative Charles Halleck of Indiana, who has been Martin's assistant. The Republicans who expressed themselves said generally they thought Martin was all right, but not aggressive enough, and a party beaten as badly as theirs was in the last election needs to push harder. The vote was close, 74 to 70, and Halleck the winner. When the secret balloting was over and the results were known, Halleck and Martin came out, Martin looking a little stunned. Asked what he thought caused him to lose after all these years, he said,
"Well, you know, I've been recently sick with a blood clot in my leg, and the physician told me not to do any running for a while, and I didn't run quite as good as today as I should have otherwise."
A policeman's lot, sometimes ugly, sometimes rewarding. Dragnet is the television show that presents both sides. See it tonight. Then George Gobel is seen on the premises of the Eddie Fisher Show. He'll be seen, but whether he'll be heard or not is still doubtful. Someone who will be heard is Eddie's other guest, Kate Smith, exercising that famous and well-loved voice. The whole thing is in color and black and white, so don't miss it. Impresario George Burns is next, booking wide-eyed Carol Channing for a nightclub date. If Carol doesn't make it, many talented George plans to take over. Like this.
Some of these days, you're gonna miss me, honey. Some of these days, you're gonna feel so lonely.
If you can call that taking over on the George Burns Show. Bachelor Bob has some new problems with Girl Friday Schultze on the Bob Cummings Show. The Californians is next, just part of the pleasant entertainment tonight over this NBC station.
From Television City in Hollywood, the Jack Benny program with Jack's guest, Ernie Kovacs. Brought to you by Lucky Strike. Get the genuine article. Get the honest taste of a Lucky Strike.
Men like this go for fine tobacco and no nonsense. That's what you get with Lucky Strike. Here's honest taste. Fresh, smooth, and unforgettable. When a man like this wants a cigarette, he goes for the genuine article. Lucky Strike. This one is what smoking was meant to be.
Never was a man who could forget the taste of a genuine cigarette. Get the honest taste a man can like. The honest taste of a Lucky Strike. The honest taste of a Lucky Strike.
Get the genuine article. Get the honest taste of a Lucky Strike.
Appearing on tonight's program were Ray Kellogg, Ken Christie, Len Lesser, Walter Burke, and the Beatniks appeared through the courtesy of the Billy Barnes Review. Remember, 1 week from tonight on this same station, be sure and view Bachelor Father, starring John Forsythe. And next Wednesday on most of these stations, watch the exciting Western series Trackdown, starring Robert Culp. Brought to you by Lucky Strike, product of the American Tobacco Company. Remember, tobacco is our middle name.
My heart is crying, crying, lonely teardrops. My pillows never dry, lonely teardrops. Come home, just say you will, say you will. Is crying, crying, lonely teardrops. My pillows never dry, lonely teardrops. Come home, come home.